Good evening, people. Hope you're well. Welcome back to the show. We are back. No Errol tonight. He's on his holidays, and unfortunately, Tobes can't be with us. But we have the usual people back. We've got Dan in the house. We've got Lewis in the house. We've got Lawless back, and of course, we've got Pete. And there's a lot to talk about, as they're always in on this channel. And it feels to me as if I try to make it an hour every time. It always overruns. But I feel like we could get through with it tonight and try and make sure that we cover as many of the clubs as we can. There's not much to talk about in some of our clubs, but there's quite a lot to talk about with a few of them. Welcome back, boys. I can't really start with anywhere other than Pete. Now, let me tell you all a little bit of a story about this one, because we were on our WhatsApp group last week. Oh, Sheffield Wednesday. Doesn't matter. We're out the FA Cup. Boring competition. No one wants it. Doesn't matter. We're all out of it. But, Pete, you must be absolutely gutted, mate. And commiserations, by the way, that you got yourself into a semi-final of that League Cup, which is even more worthless than the FA Cup. I do feel sorry for you, mate. I know you wanted to lose last night and get out of it because they're pointless, these silverware competitions. How are you coping, mate? I hope you're all right.
I never said we wanted to lose last night. I never said we wanted to lose on Saturday. The conversation is that Dan Man U fan said that the FA Cup is the greatest cup in the world. I said, I'm not a fan of the FA Cup. Now, what I did say is that a lot of Newcastle fans they absolutely love the FA Cup. They want the FA Cup more than anything. I personally, as an individual, have never been a massive fan of the FA Cup. Certainly not since, and Dan, you agree with this, to be fair, when it was the whole build-up of the game.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The players come out the hotel. You saw the coach go into the stadium, the build-up of the atmosphere. I was lucky enough to see that on a couple of occasions when in the late 90s, Newcastle got to a couple of finals against Arsenal and against Man United.
But how to get on, Pete? How to get on with them finals?
Oh, we got spanked in both. Don't worry about that. I'm not going to sugarcoat those results. But look, I for a long time, I've never been a massive fan of the FA Cup. Look, did Sheffield Wednesday deserve it? 110% deserved to win that game. They put their chances away really well. Our fringe players did not show up, and there was some first team players in there, but a lot of our fringe players really didn't perform when they needed to, and we deserved to lose the game. No doubt about it.
Listen, Lawless, are you having this, mate? Come on, this is the FA Cup, man.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you're saying this, like, all this justification. Why am I saying justification? Justification for, it's not the same, blah, blah, blah. You telling me, you wouldn't do backflips to see your team win that? You wouldn't snatch your arm off to win that cup?
Open bus top parade.
I'm only look. There would be an open bus top parade. There's no doubt about it. We haven't won a trophy for so long. But I'm talking about me as an individual. I've never been a massive fan of the FA Cup.
Yeah, but you as an individual, even though you're not say you're not a fan of the FA Cup, right? For whatever reason, but you as an individual would kill to see your team win it. Surely,
I would kill to see Newcastle win any trophy.
Any
major trophy. So if you're asking me, would I take the FA Cup? I would, but it doesn't distract from the fact that I'm not bothered about the FA Cup, like personally, because it's not the same as what I grew up with it being. And I don't think I'm wrong in that opinion. I can still want Newcastle to win a trophy, but not really be as passionate about the cup as maybe say, look, Pops, you guys must love the FA Cup because you're the record holder.
The record holders,
you must have that connection with the FA Cup. For me, I've only grown up being disappointed about the two finals that we got to, that we've just alluded to. So part of me doesn't care from that perspective, but equally, the feel of the FA Cup isn't the same. So whereas people say, "Oh, the magic of the cup and blah 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 blah," it's an amazing cup. I don't have that feeling. But look, equally, Newcastle. We beggars can't be choosers. We haven't won a trophy for God knows how many decades. So therefore, you're asking me, would I take an FA Cup? I would take an FA Cup. It wouldn't be my preference. I'd much prefer the league. I'd much prefer a Champions League. Hopefully, we'll be in years to come in a position to do that. But right now,
would you prefer a Carabao Cup to an FA Cup?
We're in the semi-final, so why not?
You know what? I see someone on the other day, right, and on some podcast said that Newcastle will win a trophy before Man United. How do you feel about it, especially since you've got them in the next round of the Carabao Cup?
Have we?
Have you?
Yeah, have you?
The draws tonight. The draws tonight.
Draws tonight, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Oh, draws tonight. Well, you potentially could have them in the next round. Okay. Let's...
Who is it? Liverpool? Sorry, it's Southampton and Man City, right?
Yeah, and it's who else is the other one?
Wolves and Forest, is it?
Wolves and Forest,
something like that.
So Man City have won it, basically. Unless Newcastle avoid them, they could probably one-off game. Do it. Semi-final still 2 legs in this competition.
It is still 2 legs. Yeah.
Why is that? What the hell is that all about? Never understood that nonsense.
Madness.
An away goal. Have they got rid of the away goals now, though?
I think they have, haven't they?
I think all away goals have been.
Yeah, they've been scrapped.
Yeah,
because we got done over so many times with away goals in Champions Leagues. And what's ironic is we were out. They took away the away goals, and we were out of Europe completely the year they did it. I was like, come on, man, we've been dumped out of this competition for away goals. Now they get rid of them when we're not in it. So they are away with them now, thank God, because away goals are frustrating. But listen, it's all love, Pete. But I was just a bit shocked by that. Like, I understand what you're saying now. What I took it as over text, which is always hard to do when it's over text, is I don't really give a damn about the FA Cup in terms of Newcastle don't need to win that. We'll still be okay. What actually you're saying is individually, I don't really care about it, but I understand why it's important that Newcastle could take silverware. So that's 2 different things, man. So I'm with you. But I was shocked by it. I was thinking, really? Like, I was thinking, right, there's 2 things. Either he genuinely thinks the FA Cup's a pile of poo, or he's drunk and angry that he's come out of the cup to Sheffield Wednesday.
No. Honestly, no. We
didn't want it. Didn't want it anyway. Next.
I'm not. I'm an honest. I like to think I'm an honest fan. I'll tell it how it is. That I can be pissed off, but I'll be real and honest. My team did not deserve to go through. And look, the players and the manager have said as much. We didn't deserve to go through, but what I wanted was a reaction. Because not only were we in a quarterfinals of another cup, we also have and are doing well in the league at the moment. And what was really, really clear about that performance on Saturday is that we don't have a squad big enough to fight on 3 fronts. It was very, very clear. We changed a number of players. We made 8 changes to that team for Saturday, and some of those players didn't stand up. They didn't stand up and be counted. The only one that comes out of any type of credit that come into the team was Alexander Isak. It's his first game back in 4 or 5 months. He looked sharp. He looked a bit rusty in areas, but he looked sharp in others. He had a good 45 minutes, which was only the plan. 45 minutes, and it was really pleasing to see him back. But some of the others that had their opportunities, I don't think Matt Ritchie played well. I don't think Elliot Anderson, who's hailed as the next big thing for Newcastle, personally, I think he needs a loan. I don't think he played well at all. And there were a couple of others. Jamal Lascelles, most fans argue that he needs to leave the club. I agree with them. Jamal Lewis, another one. They did not perform when they got their chance on Saturday. So for me, in my opinion, it did turn out to be a godsend because we haven't got the squad big enough to fight on those fronts. Now, Dan, you just mentioned about, if we get Europe next season, it's going to be even harder. So
you need five or six players, don't you, in the summer? Easily.
Well, you know what? Are we going to get 5 or 6 players in the summer? Do we need to spread it out now? Do we need to think, right, get 1 or 2 players in now in January and then get another 3 or 4 in the summer? Do we spread out? Because look, we're not going to go and buy 5, 6, 7 players in the summer. We're probably going to need it if we get European football, but we're not going to do that all in one window. So are we going to spread it out now, get 1 or 2 players, really go for it and cement that European spot? Because we've got games coming up that we can really cement it, because you boys around us have all got games against each other. So it gives us an opportunity to build points. So it's one of those. I mean, Jordy 2 for Life ain't happy with me. Big fan of Loaded, big fan of 12 Man, but he ain't happy that I don't like the FA Cup. Look, it's a personal opinion. I've had this opinion 6 months, years, a year ago, 2 years, 5 years, 6 years. This has been my opinion.
All right, Pete, let me ask you, FA Cup win or win the FA Cup or qualify for the Champions League this season, what would you prefer?
You know what? We had this conversation on Loaded. And it was a really, really tough to answer. And it might sound really weird that it's a tough question to answer. And the reason why is because the majority of us and people in the chat looked long term. They looked long term for Newcastle United. You know, do we win a cup now and we end the streak? You know, I think most fans would absolutely love that. But then we looked at, you know, if we were to get Champions League, the money and the stature and the that would generate off the back of that, the players that we could attract playing Champions League football. And we're not like one or two others in years gone by that have got Champions League and fizzled out. We know we've got the finances behind this to back that up and to keep going. So it might seem quite straightforward. Take a trophy, yes, definitely. But actually, what Newcastle fans want is longevity. They want is fighting at the top for a long period of time, not just for 1 or 2 seasons. You know, you had your Leicester's finishing 5th, just missing out on Champions League. Now, look, they're
2 or 3 years in a row, wasn't it?
it?
2 or 3 years in a row, they were like 4th, 3rd, 4th, and then the last 2 weeks they dropped out, didn't they?
West Ham were a perfect example of that. You boys were up there fighting in the top 6 for back-to-back seasons, doing really, really well, but you've dropped off this season. I think, and this is probably one of our arguments since I came on this show, Dan, Lawless, is that, you know, we have the financial backing to continue that. So it's not just a cut and dry question. I think I honestly, on the Lodi show, I went with Champions League football, personally. That's what I want for longevity. That was my answer. I think 1 or 2 of the lads went the Cups, and there was another lad that agreed with me with the Champions League. That was just my opinion, because I think longevity allows us to continually challenge for trophies at the top end. And if we're continually challenging, we've got more chance of not just winning one trophy and then not winning one for 10 years. We've got a chance of winning one and backing that up the next season.
Pete, it's been more than 10 years, mate. It's been more than 10 years, mate. Come on.
No, what I'm saying is that anyone can win a trophy at any one time, and then they can go 10, 20 years and not win one again. What Newcastle fans want is sustainability. We want to be up there, challenging year.
You know what? I wish Tobes was here, because we could ask him how his sustainability's gone, qualifying for the Champions League multiple times over the last few years. How's he done for that? You know, Tottenham, how many trophies has that got them? So you could be a Spurs, do you know what I mean? Or
with Newcastle, sorry, Pete, just a quick one. Do you think that Saturday, you mentioned the likes of Richie? I don't understand how Richie's still there, to be fair.
He's great in the dressing room. That's it.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, I'm great in the dressing room, mate, but I don't get minutes. No, but the question is, does this
I
make
don't want to know what you do in the dressing room, mate. I don't want to know what you do in the dressing room.
What time is it? What time is it? No, it's not 9. I can't say. No. The question is, has this made Eddie Howe's job a lot easier in this window and in the summer to say, right, you're gone. You're gone. You do not factor into my plans?
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. He will know after that game on Saturday that conversation with some of those players in the summer is a lot easier. And you know what? Some of those players may not kick a ball again. Matt Ritchie is probably not going to kick a ball again. Jamal Lewis not likely to kick a ball again this season. So if he goes to them in the summer and says, probably need to find a new club, they can't argue the case. Jamal Lascelles, you've got Botman and Cher that are smashing it at the moment. In centre-back pairing, can't argue the case. And if we get European football, we're going to need a better third-choice centre-back coming in. So he ain't going to be able to argue the case either. So no, you're absolutely right. It's a really, really good point, and it's a point that we haven't yet discussed on Loaded. But I think you're absolutely right. That conversation is a hell of a lot easier for anyone.
And then the other question is for all of you, actually, and this is for everyone in the chat as well. Take away the top 4 space and give the winner of the FA Cup Champions League. Would you do it?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, because it's the Champions League.
Yeah,
it's called the chat. Like, how can you have Champions League for people that finish in 4th place?
Said this for years, mate. Said this for years.
Same here. I've said that as well for years. And this is why I've always been amazed that people would rather take. As much as I totally understand where Pete's coming from and why he's gone with that, and he's justified why. I think when you're Newcastle and West Ham, listen, Man United, Arsenal and Chelsea could probably say we need Champions League football. We've won FA Cups. We've been there, done that. We need to go on to the next thing. I always said FA Cup over coming 4th and 3 people finishing ahead of you. I've always said that. When you're West Ham, you're going to take FA Cup over Champions League because you need a trophy. I think Newcastle in that boat as well. But I understand where Pete's coming from in terms of being in a different position to West Ham now, because they're obviously, in a new project that's looking like it's going to be very successful in the next few years. But I don't really understand how you can say you come fourth. That means you deserve to be playing the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona's, PSG's, etc. So I've always thought it was weird. I always said that there should be a winner of the league, the runner-up of the league, and then the winner of the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup who get Champions League football, because you're a champion of something. And that's how it should
even
work.
Carabao, you've won a trophy. So the only thing is, what they'd have to determine is if first and second also won those trophies,
which they would do.
Runner-up. Yeah,
which they would do, which is probably why they look at it as third and fourth, because they'll say, well, Man City and Chelsea are probably going to have a chance with their last 15-year history of winning silverware. That's why they do top 4 gets it. So, listen, if I was Newcastle, I'd be going all out to win a trophy this season, and whatever you get Europe-wise, because you're going to get Europe, is a bonus for me. That's what I'd be trying to do. Get silverware. There's a chance you can win the Carabao Cup as far as I'm concerned. I think I wanted to come to you, Pete, quickly, because I feel personally, before we go to Chelsea, I watched last night the Newcastle game.
What do you think?
Mate, your ground is electric, mate. Like, absolutely unreal. Like, I've always thought it was unreal. But I look at what's happening at the moment, and big up Newcastle. This ain't me slagging them off saying that you were nowhere near this the last 10, 15 years, because you always used to come and give a good show yourself, even under Ashley and Bruce. But at the moment, it's like not a good place to go to. Like, that ground is electric, mate. And that's the first thing I noticed. And straight away, I think Sean Longstaff might have got that wrong. Did he miss a sitter near the start?
He's missed many sitters in the last few games.
Yeah, well, there you go. I saw that and I thought, that crowd is mental. Like, that is mad. Like, that is going to be so, so difficult for whoever goes there. And I remember last season when we lost there, and I don't want to remember it, but I do remember it for the wrong reasons. It was so mental. And I was thinking, these guys aren't even playing for anything. We're the ones playing for 4th. Like, these guys are playing for 12th, or whatever it was. I can't remember it was at the time. So I'm thinking, wow, this is mad. So you've carried that into next season, and it's been a massive lift, mate. So when you say, what did you think? That was the first thing I thought, wow.
The first thing I thought, and I said, my wife came down just as it came on, and the flags were going, the scarves were going. And she said, yeah, wow, that looks good. And I was like, yeah, I wish I was there. I wish I was there. If I could have got out of work earlier, I'd have drove straight up the M1 and I'd have been there. It's one of those special moments where you just want to be in the ground. And I've got to, any Newcastle fan has to thank War Flags for that, because War Flags are the ones that create those moments. They're a fan-based organization that does all the big flags, to organize the scarves, organize the flags in the stadium. They do everything. It's not funded by the club, it's fan funded. They sort it out money wise all themselves. The club actually, when we got took over, said we're quite happy to finance you to build that up, and they said no, it's a fan based thing. We appreciate your offer, but we're going to do it on our own. And I really, really respect that. And they are the ones that help to create the type of atmosphere that kind of that you're seeing right now with the flags and the scarves, and they organize and orchestrate what and who we're going to celebrate. So it might be that we celebrate Bruno Guimaraes one time. I think against Man City we celebrated Almiron, and we celebrate different players past and present, and it's just an amazing thing. And it's like it's a little addition to what we give in terms of backing the team, and it don't half help. The one person I looked for last night when they came out was a Jose Perez, ex-Newcastle player.
Yeah,
and you could see his reaction when he came out. He ain't experienced anything like that. Being a player.
I think the other thing, Pete, as well with the Newcastle fans, and I think this is something that you'll always have with the Geordies, because they are, aren't they? The tune they're electric. We've seen over the years the difference in clientele, I'll say, that when a team's doing well, go and get the seats and they go and watch the games. And United have been a massive victim of it for a long time, the Prawn Sandwich Brigade. We all know that. We all know the joke about it. But I kind of feel like the Geordies, that atmosphere is there to stay, isn't it? That's not. There's no corporate taking over that shit. That is there to stay. That is going to be a fortress.
People think that we're going to be like another Man City now in terms of finances, maybe in years to come. But what we generate is Man City can never regenerate that. They
Mate,
can
in the
never
Championship,
generate that
you
kind of
had
stadium.
50,000, didn't you? In the Championship, you had 50,000 going to watch you.
2,000 every single game in the Championship. We still hold the record in the Championship because even in the Championship, we used to fill out our stadium full capacity every single week. We did it under Ashley, even in the worst of times. In these times now, honestly, it is a nightmare to get a ticket. It's so hard to get a ticket. They're like gold dust for home and away games. It's so difficult to get to watch.
We found that though, Pete, at the moment, it is all to do with how your fan base reacts because we cannot get anyone. All my mates used to be, hey, do you want tickets here? I'll get them. We're coming 8th, 8th, and 5th. We throw them away. Now, complete rocking horse dirt, mate. Honestly, you're never, ever getting hold of these tickets at the moment. And it's all to do with how the club's being run and how the results are on the pitch, of course, matters. But more importantly, there's a good feel around the place. And I think Newcastle is exactly that. Like, let's be honest, everybody on this panel could still have a bad season. I'm not so sure that Newcastle can really. Like, what's a bad season for Newcastle right now? Trophyless, and you finish 11th. That's probably like a disappointing season. Like, Newcastle could get into the Europa Conference League and they're in a semi-final of a Carabao Cup. And there's not too many Newcastle fans that go, oh, what a shocker that is. I'll get everyone out. This is a disgrace. For me, that's like a decent season still for Newcastle. Like,
after yesterday, it's already a better season than the last 8 or 9 under Ashley.
My point precisely.
I think it's like if you look at it though, Potts, right? If they was to say finish 7th in Conference League or whatever, to me that would be like Arsenal finishing 4th. Yeah, that's what you wanted to achieve. Newcastle wanted to achieve European football. Arsenal want to achieve Champions League, right? But where you were, that's a disappointment.
I get what you mean. I totally get what you mean. And I would be the same as that because your expectations change throughout the season, right? That's facts. 100% that happens. But the difference between Arsenal doing it and Newcastle doing it is that actually it's quite disappointing for Arsenal, who have been, let's be honest, for 18 years trying to get into a title race, and Newcastle for 18 years have not really been anywhere near Champions League football. So, or Europe, let's be fair. So if you was to get into Europe, because you've been down in the Championship with Rafa and all that since then.
Yeah.
So if you was to just finish in Europe, I don't think it would be as disappointing in this position as it would for Arsenal, who are top 5 points clear, to come 4th. I think that's different for me, Lawless. I think that's different.
There's no. I tell you what, Pete, that no one will ever top the night the Andy Griffin goal, though, will it? In the Champions League, I remember that as a kid.
Against Juventus.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Andy Griffin.
Andy Griffin, unbelievable Andy Griffin, stunner.
That was when Lawless was supporting Newcastle.
No, that was after. I don't remember no Champions League.
Listen, Pete, before I come to Lewis, right? In terms of the Carabao Cup and the league, do you feel that you could have a fine enough squad to compete in both of those? I know January's here, but are you quite confident at the moment that your squad will be able to cope with that, even if you don't add too much in January?
On 2 fronts, yes. 3 fronts, it would have been too difficult, in my opinion, having seen what I saw on Saturday. Eddie Howe's been a miracle worker with some of the players that he's worked with and improved. Joe Linton, Shaw, Almiron, but he's not that much of a miracle worker with the likes of Richie and Jamal Lascelles and Jamal Lewis. So for me, I do think we need at least a couple of players coming in, a couple of new players, maybe a loan. That's what we need in this window to really kind of back us up. It was really nice actually last night to have options off the bench. We had Alan St-Maximin come off the bench, who had a good cameo. Isaac came off the bench and looked decent. We've still got Jacob Murphy coming off the bench. He's a Geordie lad, Geordie family. We respect that and we like it, but he's just not good enough. He's just not. He's not good enough. He was dreadful against Sheffield Wednesday. You just need an upgrade, and that's where a couple of new signings, you then bring in 3 or 4 quality players off the bench that can change a game. You boys, Man United, Chelsea, although you're having a difficult time, even Arsenal, even though you probably don't think that you've got a strong bench, you've got those quality players that can bring off the bench. And if we're going to compete at the top, we need to have options outside of the top 11. Our first top 11, and at the moment we don't have those sort of options that you guys have.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Never know, mate. You might go in for Matteo Guendouzi because that's who Villa are going for £40 million. So
I like him.
maybe he
I
come
really
in, mate.
do.
I think he'd be.
I like
I
him.
It's
think
close to it being Maguire. I was like, I was hiring the open top bus for that, and then it comes out it's a load of rubbish. I was like,
I'm surprised Chelsea ain't going for Guendouzi, really, when you look at their midfield situation. That could be a good signing for Chelsea. I know what you think, Lewis, but
No, we need anybody in midfield that's competent. We can't be picky right now. We can't be picky.
Well, listen, let's come to you, Lewis, man. Like, I must say, Lou, right? You must look at Newcastle and think, wow. You must look at like Arsenal, what's happened there. You look at what Manchester United have done since Ten Hag's coming in, and you must have mixed emotions. But like, on the one hand, Chelsea look absolute dire, mate. Like, no disrespect, you look absolute dire, right?
Oh,
But
no, it's fine.
But on the other hand, you have an absolute nut job as an owner who is more than happy to go and spend £4 billion on a new squad for you. So it's like the future bright, but the results not so bright. I don't know if I've made sense with that, Lewis.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to describe it. The future could still be fine. I'm not too worried about Chelsea in the long term. Right now, as far as the season's concerned, it's a write-off. We're crap. And as soon as we get our 15 points and we get to 40, I'm signed out for the season. Get to 40 points, keep us up, and we're all good. Because I have no expectations of anything else in the league or in any of the cup competitions. Oh, wait, we're out of both of them anyway, so it's just the Champions League. And we're
Yeah,
still
do you
not
know
winning
what, though,
that.
Lou? You did get Man City in, but that was a harsh draw for you, man. Like, we got Man City now as well in the FA Cup, but both, like, this early to get Man City, that's mad. Absolute mad. But listen, a lot of what you're saying is right. I have to ask you, though, Joao Felix coming in, like, I really wanted him at Arsenal, I can't lie. I did. I thought he would be perfect for what we need. I think he would suit our system. And it sounds mad me saying this, but I don't actually know if he will suit what you're trying to do at Chelsea. But I wanted to get your opinion, mate.
Doesn't really change anything for us. Our midfield's still atrocious. Our attack's still atrocious. And I don't know if Joao Felix is the guy to carry it on their back. But you chose us over Arsenal and United. Fair enough. Welcome to the trenches. Let's see if you do something. The bar is literally in hell. Just retain possession, pass the ball forward a few times, maybe get the odd goal here or there, and you'll be our best forward. But does he change anything for us? I don't know. We're still not going to make top 4. We're still not going to make top 6. Maybe we'll get 9th with Felix. I don't know. But
Oh, mate, it's
I don't
dire,
think that
man.
one transfer changes anything for us. We need a lot more than just that.
I've
Lewis,
never heard you.
Lewis,
I've
with
never
that-
heard you like this, Lewis. I've never heard you
Bro,
like
Hey,
this.
do you know what? That
crap
Conference
below
League is
my-
coming, mate.
with
Bro, my
Felix,
expectations were low, but even by Chelsea standards, like we're crap. We're so crap.
with Felix, mate, you obviously you said that he chose you over United and Arsenal. I personally don't think that we had any of us went in with the correct money. I think Chelsea offered, and because they accepted, he thought, well, I'm going to go. Do you think that there was better value? Because how much you paid? I think you paid 11 million, 12 million, and then you've got the wages on top. Was there better value out there for you? Not, I mean, take midfield away. Was there better value out there for you that you'd have gone elsewhere?
Not really, because I would have looked at other areas. We need 2 midfielders and a right back before I looked at the forwards. But our forwards atrocious anyway. We got the worst attack in the top 10. So Felix could come in and improve that. It's not going to be a complete sideways move, but it doesn't fill any of the big issues at Chelsea. And the biggest issues is the midfield. The biggest issues is our right back depth. Then you look towards creativity, and maybe Felix can sort that out for us. But if the idea is to play Felix on the wing and Havertz up top, it's pointless. So it's just a waste. But I'm not going to write off Felix until I see him play. But
It feels like Pato signing to me a bit. Feels like remember the Pato signing. It feels like that to me a bit.
Yeah, just like the wrong sort of signing at the wrong time. But Felix could come in and he could actually just improve us a little bit. We could finally have some consistent creativity in the team. But I don't think that's going to accommodate for our dreadful midfield that gets torched in transition against literally anybody who attacks us. Our leaky defense, our goalkeepers that we don't really have 100% faith in, our crap forward surrounding Felix. So I don't know. I don't know. I'll wait to see if he can prove me wrong, but my standards are in hell right now because this club won't achieve anything. So, I don't
How
know.
much blame do you put on Potter? Because he's had lots of injuries. He's come into a bit of a mess. But at the same time, I understand a little bit of criticism. I don't understand the Chelsea fans that want him out, by the way. I think that's ridiculous.
Same.
But I will say that I do understand that there has been some question marks and fingers pointed towards him. I don't really see what Chelsea are trying to do in terms of their style of play. Having said that, you've got both your fullbacks out, quite a lot of your players in midfield and out wide now out as well. Pulisic and Sterling doesn't sound like it's going to be too great from what I hear. So how much does Potter need to take blame of this, or is this just literally like all nothing to do with him at the moment?
You can criticize Potter's in-game decisions, but anyone who's Potter out right now is an idiot. Because how you think Potter's the problem and not the most atrocious Chelsea squad I've ever seen in my life, I won't understand. I've said Pep Guardiola wouldn't take this team to top 4. So I don't know why I'm expecting Potter to. And everyone chanting for Thomas Tuchel. Tuchel wouldn't get us top 4 or top 6 either, and he's part of the reason why we're in this mess. So I don't understand it. Like, in-game decisions, I don't mind. Why Koulibaly's still starting over Chalobah, who's been our best centre-back this season, I don't know. Why Mount and Havertz still fraud their way into literally every lineup that I see, I don't know. That you can criticize him for. Subbing Mount for Gallagher, which is literally Roadrunner for an even more aimless Roadrunner, I will not understand, but it is what it is. But the bigger issue is the squad. 80% of the squad need to be overhauled. We need a completely new team, at least 5 or 6 reinforcements before we criticize Potter, before we look at the manager, because this isn't his squad. This isn't anyone's squad. It doesn't fit anybody's philosophy. We've degraded from the team that won the Champions League. So even that's not an excuse anymore. The team's just a giant mess. And until that changes, bring in whoever you want to bring in. Bring in a reincarnation of Sir Alex from the noughties. He still won't get top 4 with this team. The squad needs an overhaul. The squad needs to be changed. And they're the ones who have been gunning down this whole season because they're the problem.
Fair play to you, man. Listen, before I come to Lawless and back to you, Lewis, Pete, I'm going to let you go, bruv, because I know you have to shoot off. But thank you for coming on, my friend. Absolute legend, mate. And go and enjoy your Newcastle season and your Newcastle channel. Are you over to your channel now or what?
Yeah, we've got Keith Downey from Sky Sports joining us at 8 o'clock on the channel. We're 4 subs away from 5K. Thank you to everyone.
We'll sort that out now. Everyone go to Loaded Mag, smash a sub, and you get to 5. Make sure you do that, please, people.
Pete, before you go, just a quick one, mate. You said about signings in January.
Yep.
Any big signings? And splashing big or?
Yeah, you know what? I'd really. A lot of Newcastle fans probably wouldn't agree with me. I actually really thought Tielemans had a good game last night. I'd take him. We need another midfielder.
It's a good player, man.
I'd love to have him in our team. And
add Tielemans and Guendouzi. Imagine that.
Nah, Guendouzi's not coming to Newcastle. He'll go to Villa.
Wants to go back to Emery, apparently.
His mate Kamara's there as well, who was at
man. Bruno Guimaraes is his mate as well. They were together.
True. But look,
no, they weren't together, were they? They weren't together. It's Marseille and Lyon. Sorry, man. Ignore me.
I'd want Tielemans. I could see him playing in our midfield for sure. Get Longstaff out, Tielemans in.
What a guy.
Cost 20 million. That's all right. 20 million.
That's about right for Pete and Newcastle. 20 million is all right. They can scrape the barrel to 20 million.
Come on, that's standard procedure. Now, if we went out and spent 60 on Maddison, now we're having a different conversation. So we'd have to have a different conversation there. But look, Newcastle are a very interesting team. 3 days before we signed Isak, the club turned out and said, we're signing no more players. Wilson gets injured within 24, 48 hours, 58 million, bang. Alexander Isak's already flying into Newcastle. So we can't preempt what Newcastle think and what they do. Like, we can only speculate, because if they want to buy a player, they'll pull the money out somewhere and they'll go and buy the player. Like, it's just the way it is. But I don't expect any massive big signings. I think there'll be some smart signings in there, maybe a loan. We haven't used the loan market, but let's see.
Leave United to the massive signing, mate. Vote Veghurst.
Right, we'll come on to that.
Probably what you need, to be fair. But look, boys, I'm going to let you go. Cracking show. Keep up the work. You guys get
Legend, man. Take care, people. Make sure you you smash the subscribe on Loaded NUFC, man. Go and Loaded Mag NUFC. Go and get up to 5K, people. Come on. Lawless, let me ask you this, man, because West Ham have taken a lot of abuse, and you know what? Justifiably so this season. David Moyes has got it in the neck. You've got it in the neck. Your players have got it in the neck. But if Chelsea do get that Conference League, and you then see what Chelsea fans are talking about next season, the competition that they've been laughing at you for being in, that must feel a little bit bittersweet, bruv.
Yeah, it'll be nice, especially if we win the Conference League this season and win the Europa League next season. You know, I'm not Lewis.
Whoa! Hang on a minute. Just
Imagine
calm
it.
down there. Just calm down a minute.
Away on a Saturday, Europa
I
League.
never mentioned you winning the Conference League and then the Europa League. Like, let's just calm down a second.
No, because if we win the Conference League, we're in the Europa League next season.
Yeah, no, but you just said you'd win that as well.
No, I said then we're in the Europa League.
Oh, you're in it. I thought you said win it. I was like, whoa, calm down.
Next season, there's a real possibility that we'll be in Europa League and Chelsea will be in the Conference League. And there's certain Chelsea fans, not so much Lewis, right? Lewis ain't really giving it, but Matisse is definitely getting it in the net for sure. He's getting it for sure. Talking about Cyborg FC, this, that, and the other. So, yeah, that would be a nice little way to cap off the season. Of course, Spurs winning absolutely nothing. And Tobes coming on here, like, you know, he won't be able to talk to me at all. So I just hope that the struggle that we've gone through early off in the season will just, all of that hardship will just pay off for just a beautiful celebration at the end.
Listen, do you know what? It's mad because Lewis is actually one that never actually does get things twisted. But there are some Chelsea fans. Oh my God, they're unbearable. Listen, I know our fan base are deluded. There's some ones as well. But oh my God, Lewis, how do you deal with these people in your fan base? Some of them, man, they're absolute tragedy.
I despise them. People are still trying to make excuses for the likes of Mount, Havertz, and all the other frauds that have been letting this team down all season. No, they'll turn it around. They only need time and all of that. They're young, they're 23, but then on the same breath, they'll criticize Pulisic, who's like 9 months older than them. Figure that one out. But
it's weird,
I can't
man.
speak on our fan base. So half of them are just deluded knobs who are still living off the 2021 final. But it is what it is. Sooner or later, that credit will run dry.
Yeah, man, it's mad. And do you know what, Lewis, right? I've got to ask this because there is some, and I'm not gonna lie. I actually thought your summer window on paper looked okay. You got Cucurella in, who was Premier League proven, looked wicked at Brighton. You got Sterling, who's a proven goal scorer and winger. You got Aubameyang, who's a proven goal scorer. You got some other players in there as well. Now I know you've had injuries, and I think Reece James is a massive loss. Like, he's so good, man. Like, what a player. Obviously, Chilwell's done business as well, but you got Cucurella. But the players that you did get in that I had question marks over, one of them was Koulibaly, and he has been stinky, mate. Like, for me, he has been really bad. And I questioned it. And like Tobes was saying, oh, he's quality, calm down, he's a wicked player. I don't understand that he's been a good signing for you at all. So I wanted to get your thoughts on him, mate.
Yeah, Koulibaly, like, he's really been testing my patience recently. And I am still going to give him time. I do think he needs to adjust to the pace of the league because as soon as he went to the World Cup, he was one of the best centre-backs in the tournament. So quality is still there with the player. But I think the pace of the Premier League is just a little bit too slow for him. And Potter's also putting him out to dry a little bit because how Trevor Chalobah, who hasn't been much better than him, and to an extent Silva this season, isn't starting is madness to me. Because Chalobah hasn't deserved to be benched. Koulibaly deserves to be benched the way he's been playing. He was terrible against Bournemouth, terrible against Forest, did well against City in the league, fair enough, did a lot better, but then completely threw all that away in the cup and he went straight back to being terrible. So he can't keep starting because he's being put out to dry as well. Like, I do think there's still a great centre-back in there and people are looking at the age factor with him. Fair enough. But adjusting to different leagues is also a different factor. The Serie A league is a lot slower, so he needs time to adjust to the quickness of that league. It's just take him off for now. He should not be starting. He is still one of our worst performers right now. He's playing way too sloppy with his passes. His decision-making isn't great. And yeah, he's meant to be the one marshalling the back line when Silva's gone, and he's not doing his job right now. So he needs to be benched. But other than that, like, the window looked good on paper, but we ignored the midfield. Tuchel said he was happy with our midfield. He didn't need one. And then we panic bought Zakaria, who was fine, but you could have brought in more if you focused on our midfield earlier. And everyone was screaming, sort out our midfield, because we got 3 injury-prone midfielders and Jorginho, who's declining. It's clear to everyone you need the midfield.
Yeah,
But his
Jorginho.
idea was put Conor Gallagher in the Kante role because they're the same player, which is more disrespectful to Kante, if anything. But that's where we let ourselves down. And that's where Tuchel let us down too. That's why this whole we've got Super Tommy Tuchel thing, it's not running no more. Tuchel would have had us in the same spot. So I don't get why we're calling for him over Potter when nothing would have changed. The last 6 months under Tuchel, even the end of last season, we were atrocious. You saw our form towards the end. We were trying to hand you third place. And the only reason why we didn't was because you dropped it in the last 2 games and because Tottenham was still coming back from the Nuno era. That's the only reason why we made top 4. If Tottenham had Conte from the start of the season, if you guys didn't bottle it at the end, we would have finished 5th. And then this whole Tuchel thing would have been much more easy to forget about.
Mate, I think you're talking facts, bro. I can't lie, man. I really do. I think a lot of what you said there is true. Before you go, man, because I know you got to shoot, Lou, but mate, I've got to ask you quickly about Mason Mount because for me, bruv, like I don't want to slate him because I actually think he's a good player, but I don't think he's this great player that these Chelsea fans hype up. And I think that if you're gonna, maybe you think this is harsh, but I don't think you should be building a team around Mason Mount. I don't see him as a Kevin De Bruyne, a Fabregas, a David Silva. I just don't see that with him. I think he's an Aaron Ramsey type player. Maybe Aaron Ramsey was even better, some would say, right? So he's that kind of level. He's not the one you look at as the gem. I think he could be a part of your team, no doubt. But I've been really disappointed with him, man, this season. I ain't going to lie. What's your thoughts, bro?
You have echoed everything that I've said all season. People treat Mason Mount like he's Lampard or De Bruyne. He is more of a James Milner. And I don't even mean that in a disrespect to Milner. It's just more, I will put him wherever I need to fill a hole. And then he can do a job there. In terms of him as a player, he's meant to be the creative output for our team. He's meant to be the guy who links the midfield and the attack. He doesn't do anything like that. He overhits and underhits passes all the time. And it's half the reason why the likes of Lukaku, Timo Werner, and Aubameyang now is struggling. But we're all going to look at the strikers and say the strikers are flops. No, they're not flops. The reason why they're made to look like flops is because we don't feed them any service. That's Mount's fault. That's Havertz's fault. They are our main issues. I don't think we should be offering him 200, 250k a week, and I'm glad that we're not offering him that. But he's constantly pushing for it, which is even questioning this whole proper Chelsea narrative because why are you trying to ask for that sort of cash when you're literally in the worst form of your life? Makes no sense to me. If you were really proper Chelsea, you'd sign a 1 or 2 year extension with a bit of a pay rise because he's on 88k a week. I get him asking for more money, but anything over 120 to 150 is a load of arse. So he should be taking a 1 or 2 year extension and then playing to the level and then asking for 200k a week. But no, because this fan base has just sucked him off for the best part of 4 years and acted like he's the next coming of Lampard, when all he does is just think Lampard in his head when he's 25 yards out before having his shot blocked when he's trying to hit a long shot. That's the whole reason why his mindset's where it's at right now. Because we've treated him like he's the face of the club when he's not. And one of my mates said it perfectly. If Mount's the face of my club, I would rather be faceless because that's why we're 10th. If we're relying on Mount, this is literally why we are where we are.
Well, listen, do you know what? I think you're talking facts, Lewis. I can't lie to you. I think Lawless is frozen yet again.
I think he has. We're just looking now.
But listen, I think you're talking facts, Lou, and I'm gonna let you go because I know you got to go. But bruv, it's a pleasure having you on here, mate, and everyone loves what you say. And fair play to you, man, because you're speaking facts, and I can feel the passion and the hatred. And this season for you is going to be a tough one, mate. It's going to be trophyless,
painful,
unless you win the Champions League. Tomorrow. I mean, are you going Fulham? Okay.
Yeah, we're going Fulham. We're going to get battered in our own postcode because we haven't already been hurt enough this season. But it is what it is. This team ain't Chelsea anymore. They're just Fulham Broadway FC till the end of the season. Is what it is. Big up, my guys. Big up,
good luck in the WLD on the weekend.
Yeah, we need it, bro.
Biggest derby of the weekend.
Take care, my guys. Love,
man. Take care, Lewis. In a bit, brother. Okay, let's talk this because this super chat's come in and I want to put it to Lawless. Toby, big up yourself, man. I hope you're well, bro. Thank you so much for the super chat. He's a big West Ham fan. He says, what do you think West Ham need in the January transfer window and also for new managers to replace Moyes? Thoughts on these names? AVB, Luis Enrique, Mancini, Ruben Amorim, and Postecoglou from Celtic. Love the show, lads. Keep it up. Love Toby. Thanks so much, man. Much appreciated. He did put one in here earlier, which was very similar, and then put a super chat in. So I hope we've answered most of that. Hi, guys. Love the show. Wanted to ask Dan Lawless as a West Ham fan, what does he think we need in January window? Interesting to see what everyone else on the panel thinks too. Lawless, you might as well answer that one, mate, first. What do you reckon, bruv?
What do we need? Bloody hell. All right, let's just not go for the
miracle.
easy answer and say a new manager. Like, let's just not go for that. Yeah, look, I think we need a striker. Antonio's not been doing it. He's linked with a move to Wolverhampton Wanderers at the moment. But his form has been poor. I think I saw someone said he scored like 4 goals in 30 odd games or something. That's just not good enough, even for a backup striker. And with Scamacca having a few injuries, yeah, probably needs a bin. And he's like, freak manager. It's a freak.
Big up Alfie, man. He's funny.
Yeah, like, so striker to help chip in with the goals, because yes, if Scamacca's injured, we're in trouble. We're in the FA Cup, we're in the Conference League, and we're in obviously the Premier League for now. So yeah, we need that. Goals have been a problem. No, you can keep your Chris Wood. We've been there, done that with Andy Carroll. We need I think we need a winger. We're linked with Dan Juma again. Which on loan, which I think would be big if we can pull that off, because Cornet looks like he's not going to be seen for the rest of the season.
What is that, Lawless? Because there's been, I don't understand what's happened with him. He's
got an ultra rare injury. Like, it's only one other player's ever had or something.
What does that mean?
It gets ultra rare injury condition or something. It's the most mysterious injury I've ever seen at this club. And we've had some, I remember Kieran Dyer when he was just injured for his whole career at West Ham. So yeah, we need someone to come in and be able to support and play. And someone like Dan Juma can help maybe add a bit of that pace as well. Left back, easily need a left back because Creswell just ain't cutting it. Emerson Moyes don't seem to really fancy him. And we probably need a right back as well, because Soufal is nearly at the end of his contract, so he could go.
Wan-Bissaka's been mentioned with West Ham, hasn't he?
Yeah, Wan-Bissaka's been linked. If Man United are willing to do a loan deal, then it could happen, but I don't know if we'll be willing to do that. So those are the main positions: striker, winger, left back, right back. I really want to get a right winger because we need someone who can bench Bowen, because he can't keep getting away with starting every week playing like that. He needs to be benched to get a kick up the arse. So I'm not sure if Dan Juma can play on the right, but boy, bring him in, play him on the right, Bowen Rama on the left, vice versa. I don't care. Just that's what we need. But I just can't trust Moyes, because look at the window, look at the spend, £170 million on all these players. Yes, he's had injuries, but are we that fragile that you get a couple of injuries and all of a sudden you're going from challenging for top 4 to relegation battles?
Well, let's bring this up again. Would you take any of these names?
Right. So AVB is an interesting one because he had a pretty poor time in the Premier League, Spurs, Chelsea, but he's a young manager then. I think he's gone on to do a bit better in France and things like that. So that would be a risk, in my opinion, but could be potentially exciting. Enrique, big name, big manager, fizzled out at the end with Spain. But yeah, man, I would give that a go. And Mancini, I've been calling for all season. Mancini's out of them is my number one choice. So if I'm out of those names, Mancini for me. Like I said, he's got the added bonus of having worked with Scamacca. But it was funny, like someone pointed this out. I see this on Twitter. We've got Italy's number 9, Italy's striker, right? We've got Brazil's midfielder, England's midfielder, and we're playing like this. We're playing this shock. We've got all these top international players in our team. Aguerd again from Morocco. I know he's been injured, and we're just playing like shit.
Yeah, and when you got relegated in 2003, was it 2002, 2003, when you had all those stunning players. You had Young Defoe, you had Joe Cole, Canio. You had them all, didn't you? And it just went pear-shaped.
Yeah, but that was like the highest points tally that anyone's ever been relegated by, as well. But the problem is for me, and Alfie's alluded to this, is boring. The football is so boring. Like, I can't stand it. The Brentford game we played the other day, oh my God, I wanted to, just drink myself, blind. I just can't stand to watch this type of football. And Big Sam got slaughtered at this club, absolutely slaughtered. But because Moyes has got us to a semi-final of the Europa League, it's like we just accept it. That's the problem. Like, if you're going to play crap football, you need to be achieving something. You need to be winning trophies or competing in the upper end of the table. When you're playing boring football and at the bottom, because I've seen us down in the dumps a lot of the times, but we played good football doing it. And we was at Upton Park, so you had that ability. Like, if we was at Upton Park and we was playing good football, had some exciting players, all that, I wouldn't grumble so much. You know what I mean? But
you know who I would take? I wouldn't take any of those. Well, actually, I would take some of them names, but I would realistic, like Mancini and Enrique. They might not. They might think, do I fancy that? Their past jobs don't really look at getting teams out of relegation zones, etc. But actually, some of the other names, I think AVB, I wouldn't touch him with barge palm. It's not gone well for him twice in the Premier League. I wouldn't go for the Celtic guy. I would take a punt on the Sporting Lisbon one if it weren't Mancini out of that list, because I think he's proved to be a young up-and-coming manager who's got some good styles of football. But I would go Marcelo Bielsa, mate, now. I would, because he got absolutely pummeled at games in Leeds, but they loved him because of his attractive style of football. And their defence is shocking. West Ham's defence ain't actually that bad. Like, if you look at Aguerd and Zuma and Ogbonna, when they're all fit, they ain't actually half that bad, to be fair. So I think personally that is probably a name that I would go for. What's your thoughts on that, Lawless?
Yeah, I think some concerns over his ability to adapt, but as I think we've got a better squad than what Leeds had anyway, and better defenders for sure once they're fit. Exciting football. The question, I think he would need, some serious backing, because the team that we've got, I don't know if we could play. Certain players in this team could play that high energy football. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see the players that we've got and if we could give them some players. But that's an interesting one. Who I saw today that if they do sack Moyes, they're looking at the West Brom manager, Carlos Coberan or whatever his name is.
He's only been there like 2 months, hasn't he?
Do you know what though? Yeah, I know you're talking. So I do another show, as you know, the Premier League fan debate, which is on tomorrow night. And trust me, everybody's raving about this geezer. There's a lot of Premier League clubs on that show, Southampton, etc. They all want this guy. He was somewhere before West Brom. He went to Was it Huddersfield? He went to West Brom, and they're like, West Brom are like literally heading towards the playoffs, being pretty much relegation form. This guy's turned them around quickly. The other one they talk about is Swansea manager. Is it Russell Martin? Russell Martin is the other one. Apparently, he's really done well. So, I bet you're happy I bet you're happy that Martinez is taken out the mix. How he got the Portugal job, by the way, I haven't got a fucking clue. But you must be so happy that he's out. Oh, you wanted him. Lawless wanted Roberto.
I was open-minded to giving him a chance because he plays good football. So that wasn't my first choice. That was like, if we can't get all of these managers, I'd give him a go. Bring in Henry with him.
Ronnie's saying Patrick Vieira, mate.
Yeah, and do you know what? I'm looking at Patrick, and I would definitely like him at West Ham. Although I don't know whether it's just because it's Palace, and obviously they're higher above us. But when you look at game management and the way that they lose some games or drop points in games is a bit concerning. That's the one question mark I have over Vieira. But he has got a young team.
Fair play, man. Fair play. So I mean, how does he? First of all, we're talking about new managers as if Moyes is gone. Like, he's staying, man, at the moment. So,
the end of the season,
do you reckon, Dan? Do you reckon?
If they don't sack him before the end of January, there's no point in getting rid of him till the end of the season, is there, Lawless? If they give him this window, there's no point in getting rid of him.
Well, no, but the thing is, if they give him this window, it depends what they do. Like, if they give him some loan signings, right? then to me, you can still sack him because we haven't got a commitment there. You're not really financially backing him. We can still bring a new manager in and they could do what they need to do with those signings, right? But I just look at it and I say, we've got some key games coming up. We can't afford to keep him if say he brings in these new, say he gets Danjuma, and he gets a left back and this, that, and we're still shit. This man should never work in the Premier League again because you've been backed in 2 windows, bringing in players that you want. And we're still shit. So I need to start seeing some turnaround now. Aguerd's back. Zuma's is coming back soon. We need to see what's done. But yeah, I mean, this whole Wolves situation, it's mad to me in a way because we're talking about selling Dawson and Antonio to what's our relegation rivals right now, which is crazy. Antonio and Dawson to Wolves.
What? That would make no sense to me at all.
Yeah, Dawson.
Like, don't get me wrong, I don't rate either of them highly enough to say, wow, West Ham, I've got to keep these. Like, Dawson needs to go. But, like, if you're going to sell them to your direct rivals at the moment, you might not stay. Wolves might go up or West Ham might go up and it might not be that. But that just sounds like a crazy move, man.
They seem to have that proper bounce at the moment, don't they, Wolves? They seem to have...
Lopetegui, mate.
Yeah,
Lopetegui.
they seem to be, building.
We've got them next as well, which is a massive game. It's huge, so...
Yeah, I'm going to go if this happens. If you lose to Wolves and you lose to Everton, I think you'll get rid of him. Like, I think he'll go then. But I don't think you will. And then you've got City. No, who you got? City, Spurs.
We've got Newcastle away, Chelsea at home, Spurs away.
That's tough, man. That's tough.
Yeah. That's
like, you need to beat Wolves and Everton. Otherwise, you're in a serious relegation battle, bro, if you're not already.
Yeah, I think there's still time for us to push. We're not so deep in it that it's like this is our reality for the rest of the season. There's still time to push away. And these 2 fixtures, 6 points. If we got 6 points against Wolves and Everton, then that gives us some breathing room and some confidence going into them big games. However, to me, even if say we lost against Wolves and got a point against Everton, like, we shouldn't look at it and go, oh, well, Wolves away is tough and we got a point, we didn't lose. All that. I hate it. I hate the mentality.
Listen, I've got to finish on this one before I go to United and Arsenal. Christian says, Lawless, don't worry, Rice will finally get his trophies at Arsenal. Thank you for developing him for us. There's a lot of Arsenal fans that think Declan Rice is going to be an Arsenal player in the summer, Lawless. I want to get your thoughts, bro. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Oh, listen, what? Uncle Stan is going to come and splash the cash for Arsenal and go in, and it's mad. Like, and this is what I'm saying, like, Arsenal fans, and I'm not saying like West Ham are this trophy team, but you're acting now like you're the Man Cities and the Liverpools and all of that, like really no self-awareness of the club that you've been. And you, like I said, you still won FA Cups and I'd snatch your arm off to win those trophies, right? But come on, like, just this is the problem people
Let me
have
give you a
with
scenario then. Let me give you a scenario. See if I'm muddled if I say this. Let me see what you, and this is both of you, right? Arsenal win the league and the Europa League. In the summer, we put in a bid of 85 million for Declan Rice. Is he coming?
Well, if you win those trophies, then you better up the price because you've got some fucking prize.
Okay,
money.
100 million then. 100 million. Is he coming?
It depends who bids. It
depends who else is in for him. If it's just Arsenal, then I think he would go. Like, if Chelsea ain't in for him, if Man City ain't in for him, if Real Madrid ain't in for him, or Liverpool, you know what I mean? And Liverpool, I think it's interesting that Liverpool has been so quiet on Rice because I think they could do with, they've been needing a midfielder. So if you ain't got no competition, then
Rice is close to Saka, mate, off the pitch. Just saying, Ronnie's big up Ronnie.
Well, he's best mates with Mason Mount. So what do you mean?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
He's his best mate.
Do you know what? I thought he would have gone Chelsea, and he still might. He still might, depending on what Chelsea
He's ex-Chelsea, though, isn't he?
He is ex-Chelsea, and him and Mason Mount have got some weird bond. So I think that would be where you want to go. United, I hear as well, were a team that would be interested.
I don't think United will go.
Everyone's going to be interested. The only thing I'll say, Lourdes, I get you about Man City. Like, if Man City come in, he will go there. Is he going to play like every game though? And I'm not even joking when I say that. Like, the system they play, they only play one. Is he better than Rodri? I don't think Pepsi's in better than Rodri. So is he going to play every game? Or is he going to change their system so they play him and Rodri and then De Bruyne? I don't know.
I mean, that's up to Pep and how he fits it in. Obviously, they play a lot of football, but I just think it's embarrassing the way Arsenal fans were making their little edits with Rice in the Arsenal shirt and that. We're like halfway through this season. Like, I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what these fans are thinking. It's the weirdest fan base, honestly.
It's mad. It is mad.
No.
We have got a few deluded ones, though, mate. I don't think Rice to Arsenal is ever going to happen, in my opinion. Even if we do win the league, I do think that it won't happen. But I'm not saying we won't put a bid in. The rumor is that Arteta's a big fan. What does that mean? That means nothing. It means that he likes the player. So, you know, it doesn't mean he's coming to Arsenal at all. But obviously, the rumor.
Yeah, and this is the thing: if there are a lot of teams in for him, the price goes up because then that's a bidding war.
Of course.
Because, you know what I mean? You might go and put in 88 million. Well, then Chelsea know they've got to beat that. And then Man City know they've got to beat that. Liverpool know they've got to beat that. Do you know what I mean?
Chelsea in that situation at the moment anyway. They're just literally bidding for anybody who bids for someone.
Yeah. So that's it. That's a winning situation for West Ham. Like, to me, it's a good thing. We just need to make sure we have the right manager in place to spend that money. And I think we could ultimately be stronger for it, getting rid of Rice.
Fair play, man. Fair play. Listen, I'm gonna come on to the super chat in a minute about Arsenal, but I'm gonna go to United next, and I'm gonna do something I've done a couple of times this season. I'm gonna hold my hands up again. I'm gonna hold my hands up and say I got it wrong. I've been calling Marcus Trashford for the last couple of seasons, and I think he's been justified. He's been absolutely dreadful. This season, he has been on fire. And I want to ask you, Dan United, is this to do with Marcus Rashford, or is this to do with Ten Hag? Or is it actually to do with both? Because this guy's been a different player for you this season, mate.
Well, before we start, just want to do the celebration.
Oh, dear.
Just love it.
That is not what I like. I don't like that celebration.
Love it. Do you know what? I've won at life. Last night he scored, and Danielle, my wife, straight away just went,
no,
yes,
no.
Here we go.
She's been well trained, Dan. Well trained.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. No, I think it's, do you know what? I think it's 70-30. I think it's 70% coaching staff, 30% Rashford. I think the thing is, I've said this several times before, it's the attitude. The attitude's changed at United. I must admit, I wasn't happy last night watching them against Charlton. There was a first half, we were all over him. I'm really struggling with Anthony. I've got to say it. I'm really struggling with Anthony at the moment. 85 million. And I'm one of the first people out here calling Núñez a flop. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. Honestly, I watched him last night and he scored a worldie against Charlton. Fair enough. It was stunning. But everything else after that, he can't pass a ball over 5 yards. He gets in great positions and then turns around and runs backwards. For that amount of money, I know it's not his fault, the fee that was paid, blah, 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 whatever. For that type of talent, you should be able to take players on. You should have the confidence about yourself to try and take these players on. And I watch him, and I was watching Dalot coaching him from behind, and you know Dalot. I could see Dalot talking to him in the first half before Dalot went off, and I just looked and I thought, "Fucking hell, I'm not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 85 million to watch someone do a trick that you can see at a fairground." But going back to Rashford, I honestly, I could talk all night about Anthony. Going back to Rashford, I think it's amazing. I think the people that you've got to back, or you've got to give credit, for, is Ten Hag, and you've got to give, I've said it before on this show, Benny McCarthy. And Rashford's come out and said it several times, Benny McCarthy makes him a better player. Rashford's playing with that belief in himself at the moment, and I've said it before on this show, there's no sulking. There's no sulking. He understands he understands how important he is to the team. And I think at the moment, enjoy it. Enjoy the football he's playing, because as we know with Rashford, he can go on a barren run of not scoring in 5 or 6 games. He could get a back injury that kept him out for so long before. But the one thing I will say about him is, if he can continue this form, and he can do it over the rest of this season and next season, how good is it looking for the Euros for England to have an informed Rashford like that on the left, where we've predominantly played Foden out of position, we've played Sterling every bloody tournament. I just think it's going to be so key. So it's good. He's enjoying it. He's enjoying the football he's playing. Last night, as I say, there were a couple of players that I think felt we're going to beat Charlton. We're going to do it regardless. It's not the attitude that Ten Hag wants. And he come out and said after the match, first half was brilliant, second half I didn't like it. So we'll see. I'm really happy, I must admit. I mean, if you'd have asked me 3 or 4 months ago, was I looking forward to City and Arsenal in the space of a couple of weeks, I'd have said no. But if you want to be in the big boy table, you got to be willing to sit with the big boys and have a go. And this is where we're going to find out where United are this season. We could after a week or so be saying, we've played 3, lost 3, we're all to shit again, or we just possibly could turn around and say we're unbeaten here. We haven't lost. If we don't lose against City and Arsenal, top 4, we'll go for it. We'll have it. We'll have top 4. I'm so confident about that. But we'll just have to see what happens.
Well, man. Well, let's just remind ourselves. Dan United, what are you going for, man?
City top, Liverpool second. I think it's going to be interesting this season, the battle between Núñez and Haaland. I think that's going to be an interesting battle there. I actually think that I think Spurs will get third. I think they're looking really, really good. I'm gonna blow the chat off here completely. Are you ready for this? So I'm going United fourth. I'm feeling the most confident I've felt in the last 5 years.
Yeah, mate. It's
Wallace's face at the bottom. He goes.
You know what? And how much in the mud is Dan? What a hot take. Spurs third.
Awful, mate. Awful.
What was he thinking? Spurs
mate,
third.
Liverpool second. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
But you know what though? It weren't though. Remember, start of the season, everyone was saying it was City or Liverpool. Spurs are looking good with Conte. They just got top 4. They've spent money. They've had a good window, even though it weren't. But really, let's not laugh too hard, because we did laugh a lot at that when he said Man United fourth,
especially after Brighton and then Brentford.
I think they're gonna. I think you'll get it. I think you get it. I'm sorry, I do. I think you get it. I think the top 4 now. I don't see Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea. I don't see anybody else forcing that top 4 out at the moment. I don't. I think if you ask me now, and I had to say right now, I would go with City, Arsenal, Newcastle, United as the top 4. I would, because Newcastle got one game.
I've been bantering Weghorst though, but you know what? Other than his stats at Burnley, have you seen his stats? Other than
I don't mind him, I don't mind Weghorst.
I liked him at Burnley.
Yeah,
I liked him at Wolfsburg. I said it was a type of striker that Premier League clubs should be looking at, because he's got that profile where he holds the ball up, he links up plays, good in the air. He's definitely got some muscle about him, and he knows where the goal is. And he went to Burnley, and I thought, why are you going there? You could have done better than that, mate. And now maybe he will do. I think he'll do a job at United. He's not going to come and do what Van Nistelrooy's done, but he's definitely going to go and do a job for you, Danny. You need a centre forward, mate, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. And I think the whole thing with the Gakpo signing, which again, I'm going to say it. There's Liverpool fans in the chat here. What a waste of money that was. Quality, but you should have been signing players in different parts of that.
I agree. Good player.
Yeah, 100%. But why on earth would you go and spend 40 million, 38 million on a forward player, which, let's be honest, in 2 or 3 months' time, you're getting them all back anyway, when you could have gone out there and spent 40 million and you could have gone for a Tielemans for 40 million easily. You could have gone for players out there in Europe for 40 million. That's where I couldn't believe that signing. And I got called salty because he'd gone to Liverpool over United. And I was like, I'm pissed, but did they need him? And this is twice this has happened now. Liverpool have done it with Gakpo. Chelsea have done it with Felix. Both clubs have brought players in that they don't need in that position. So I mean, I can't moan about Weghorst too much, because I'd have been annoyed if we'd have gone and signed obviously we got Butland in, but that was because Dubravka buggered off. But I'd have been annoyed if we'd have gone and spent 30-40 million on we haven't got the money, but if we'd have gone and brought a left winger in or something. You've got to be buying where you need the strength, to be strengthened. You can't be going out and buying players who I don't think are going to make you a better team over the course of a season. And I don't see it. I just don't. I don't see it. I might sound a bit of a twat here, but Liverpool shouldn't have spent that money. I don't think. As we've said, I think Chelsea should have gone and got strengthened somewhere else. So the fact that we've got a manager, I know we haven't got any money, but he's done some bloody wheeling and dealing. He's had to really look around for this. We're strengthening where we need to strengthen. I mean, I don't know. What do you lads think? I don't know.
I agree, and I don't think it is just that team, and I think they'll do more business. I really do think Liverpool have to get a midfielder in.
Got to.
They're
Got to.
absolutely stupid if they don't. Chelsea will spend. It's not a problem for me. They're going to go mental. It would surprise. It would. I think Manchester United under Ten Hag. I see Ten Hag signings now, and I think actually Wout Weghorst will be a Ten Hag signing. But I do believe that with Potter, they ain't no Joao Felix ain't a Potter signing. Let's be honest. Man United, Liverpool as well. I mean, they have got injuries, but getting Gakpo as well, like they need more than that in other positions. So I'm with you, Dan.
When they're all fit pots, you think about it. So Diaz will come back, Jota will come back. I don't know if Firmino's injured or what. Salah, and Nunes. You've got 5. That's without Gakpo. Who's he benching? Who's he benching at that?
Yeah, exactly. It's mad.
It.
Like Liverpool are seriously in the mud though, man. And like Errol's not here, but they look so bad. It's embarrassing, if I'm honest with you. It honestly reminds me at the moment of Arsenal a few years back when we had the likes of Mustafi and Kolasinac and Socrates. Their defending is that bad at the moment, man. Every time Brentford took a corner the other week, I thought they were going to put it in the net. It was that bad, mate. So yeah, it's absolutely mad. I want to move quickly though. Mark Taylor, big up yourself, bruv. He says, Dan, your thoughts on the artwork at the Emirates? Hit the likes. It's free. Guys, and Dan, memberships when there will be memberships, mate. Trust me, it's not going to skint everybody out because I know cost of living's a madness, but it will be happening. Thoughts on the artwork at the Emirates? From what I see, it's going to look better in the flesh, but from what I see, design-wise, it looks really good, man. It needs to be done. It needed refurbishing. It's 16. How long old is it now? 16, 17 years old. So it is looking like that. The seats need to be replaced as well, by the way, because they're now pink, not red. And we definitely need a lick of paint, a little bit like Old Trafford does, to be fair.
You ain't got a digital screen, though, have you, Potts? No digital screen.
Well, we're not big and we're not massive like West Ham, mate.
Even United, we haven't got one. We haven't got one either.
No, we've got a screen. We've got 2 screens, but like Man United and Liverpool, the only 2 grounds in the whole of the Premier League that don't have a bloody TV. Can you believe that? That is mad.
That's ridiculous. Upton Park, we had 2.
It's mad. It's absolutely mad. Like Highbury, we had one, but it just had the team news on it. That was all it had. But at least it was like the minutes on it and the TV and stuff. This one now, obviously, we got at the Emirates is a replays and watches the game full time. But for me, like that's poor. But it is new artwork. It is looking good. The Highbury slot, by the way, is lovely with all out the windows of all the legends. It looks like it's going to be epic, Mark. So I'm with you. Let's quickly touch on Arsenal before we do wrap up. Not much to talk about. Beat Oxford. Needed the subs to beat them, but we did. But Eddie Nketiah deserves a mention, and I'll tell you why.
Potts was calling him world class in the group chat.
Oh my God! Listen to the state of this guy. What are you?
Let's put that out there for the record.
Let's not put that out there for the record because it was you who brought up some stupid tweet that someone had said that Eddie was world class, and you had an absolute meltdown about it because he's actually scored against West Ham. This is what this is, Dan. Right? This is actually what it is. Eddie scores against West Ham. Lawless can't hack it. Loses his head. Oh, Jesus is out. This will be funny. Eddie's playing. And he scores against West Ham and he can't hack it. So now he's trying to bring up every bit of dirt that
it was a meaningless goal anyway. Like it was a pointless goal. It wasn't
meaningless goal. Meaningless goal.
Yeah, the game was done by then.
Listen to this guy. It's unbelievable. And now he doesn't want to give Eddie his flowers when he scored 1 goal in 1 appearance in the League Cup, 2 goals in 1 appearance in the FA Cup, 3 goals or 4 goals, 3 goals in the Europa League, and 4 goals in 4 in the league, and 11 goals in 11 starts at the Emirates. And now all of a sudden, let's not get too carried away. Blah 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 blah. This guy deserves credit. I doubted him. Lots of Arsenal players doubted him. Lots of Arsenal fans doubted him. Arteta didn't doubt him. Big up to Arteta because he's come in and he would have taken a hell of a lot of stick if Eddie's sitting there with 0 goals. He scored more than Jesus has in the last few games. Jesus does a lot more. I'm not saying he's better. But he deserves credit.
He deserves credit. Let's see if he keeps Jesus out the side.
He's not going to keep Jesus out the side. That wasn't never the point. He was coming in to back up Jesus when he's injured. He's now injured. Eddie now comes in.
You're telling me, if he carries on this form and Jesus comes back, goes straight back in the side, and Eddie goes on the bench, you're cool with that? You think that's all fine and dandy?
That's what playing for Arsenal is about, mate. You don't always get an absolute given. Jesus was not underperforming.
No, you have to be able to earn your way in the team. And if he carries this on, he's earned his place.
So what you're trying to say is that he deserves his flowers and he deserves to be staying in the team.
I'm saying if he keeps this up, right? If he carries this on, then you have to say he's earned his place. So if Jesus is just fit and he just drops Eddie and brings Jesus back in, what message is Arteta sending to the players that are on the bench? Yeah, like if there's an injury,
you're a backup striker and you come in and do your job, mate. And when your centre forwards out, if Jesus didn't get injured, he'd be playing, which means what? He doesn't deserve to be dropped out of the side if he's fit. That's the point of it. You have two centre forwards.
That's bollocks.
Listen,
that's bollocks.
do you know what? And you might be right. Arteta might go, sorry, Gabriel, you're gonna have to fight. Eddie's banging him in. Sorry, mate.
Because otherwise, there's no incentive.
That might happen. That might happen.
That's going to demotivate Nketiah. If he comes in and it's like he's back in, even though you've been playing well, you're back on the bench. He's going to think, well, what's the point?
It depends what the message to Eddie is, though, doesn't it? If the message is Eddie, you will be playing as long as you're doing your job, then of course Jesus has to bench it. But if the question is Jesus is number one, mate, you're staying as the backup. When Jesus is back, you are going to be back on the bench.
Then
you will get an opportunity.
If I'm Eddie, I'm putting in a transfer request straight away.
You're deluded then.
If he rates himself, if he rates himself and he carries on and Arteta does that to him, he puts in a transfer request straight away and says, fuck you. I signed a new deal with you when I wanted to leave. You gave me all the promises in the world.
Absolutely deluded.
How is that deluded?
Because the guy has not come to play first.
With him in the summer, wouldn't he? And said, "This is where I see you in my team." This has happened.
You are actually on a wind-up. You cannot be serious.
For years. There's been players that have come off the bench and come in when players are injured and scored and known that their role is that of a squad player.
He wanted to leave at the start of the because season, he weren't getting a chance, right? He wanted to leave. He was pushing to move. Arteta was begging him, "Oh, please, I'll give you $100,000 a week. Stay. I'm gonna play you. You're in my plans, yeah." All of a sudden now, and I'm talking about if Eddie Nketiah carries on this form, he's banging in goals in the league week in, week out, and all of a sudden, Jesus, right, who hadn't scored in a while, comes back in and doesn't have to fight for the place. He just, you're fit, Jesus. You go back in, Eddie. You chill on the bench for the next however months until he gets injured.
So why isn't Ben Rama banging on Moyes' door? Get me out of the club. Get me out. Get me out.
Well, but Ben Rama's actually playing. He's actually plays.
He hasn't been.
No,
so what you're saying is that he didn't put in a transfer request and he fought for his place and now he's back in. Just like
it's not even that he fought. It's that Moyes doesn't play one player consistently there. It's not even the same situation. It's not like Ben Rama's just on the bench while Fornals is playing, or Ben Rama's like the first choice, but Moyes will just randomly bench him.
All right, so let me give you a scenario. Paqueta and Scamacca aren't cutting it. They're not cutting it. All of a sudden, Ben Rama and Bowen come in and they are cutting it. Scamacca and Paqueta is Arsenal tomorrow. Are you going to play Bowen and Ben Rama because you think they deserve it, or are you going to play your better players?
No, you got to play your form players. If they've not been cutting,
if Jesus is back tomorrow, you're playing Eddie ahead of Jesus in tomorrow's game. If Jesus is fully fit.
I'm not saying, like I said, I still need to. I'm saying if Eddie keeps up this form, right? Tell
Southampton are beating City.
Are you kidding?
That's what someone's just put.
That is Mark Taylor. Shout out for the super chat, but that is the most ridiculous question I've ever seen.
Southampton are 1-0 up.
They actually are 1-0 up. Can you believe this? Oh my God, that won't last. Jesus Christ. Yeah, mate, Lawless, I can't agree with what you're saying. Okay, so that's a lie. I understand where you're coming from, but I disagree with it. Because
we're going to know more about Arteta's management style. I see what you're saying, Lawless.
Yeah. No, I'm with.
This is where we're going to learn what sort of manager Arteta is in this instance, because he hasn't really had this situation, has he? I don't think when he's lost his star man. I mean, last year you had Lacazette and Aubameyang for the start of the season. I think we're going to learn a lot about what Arteta does do. If Arteta does go with his form players, if he is that sort of manager, but we're not going to know until Jesus is back, and I don't think he's anywhere near, is he yet?
And it's not even as if Jesus, like how many games has he played? Like it's not as if we're not talking about Thierry Henry here. We're not talking about elite world class level player. Proved it everywhere. Like he's a good player and he's been good for Arsenal, but we're not talking about this killer, undroppable player that, like we said, he hadn't scored in a while before he got injured. So let's be real.
This is a good way of putting it.
I was just trying to say that's a really good,
Ronnie's spot on. Big up, Ronnie. So Mahrez should hand in a transfer request. We're a big club, which you're struggling to understand. You know you're rolling big clubs. Listen, I think that apart from the last bit, where he's obviously having a dig and a laugh. I get it. Mahrez is Mahrez going to knock on the door? Okay, but I know we're not Man City. That's not the point. The point is Mahrez at the moment is doing some serious stuff, but he ain't always playing. So he's part of a squad rotation.
Yeah, but Nketiah has not even been squad rotation. How many games, right, before Jesus got injured, was he really playing? A couple here and there.
He was just coming on. He wasn't starting any.
Yeah, he wasn't even starting.
No, that's fine because he's a part. Because that's what he is. He's a backup.
But this is what I'm saying. Like with Man City, they've won trophies year in year out, Premier Leagues, right? And Mahrez has won that. He has reason to have faith in Pep. He didn't have that conversation with Pep and said, I want to leave, and Pep's gone around and go, I'm going to give you more money and I'm going to put you in my plans. And again, this is Man City. At Arsenal, what I'm saying is Jesus is not that guy. He is not that guy, that undroppable beast that's just this world-class player, won all of this. Well, he has won Premier Leagues, but he's not, like, if we're talking about a Lewandowski or a Haaland or an Mbappe.
No one said he's that, man.
No, but that's what I'm saying. No, what I'm saying is those are the players that you go, he comes back in. Even the Harry Kane's, like, this is our guy. He hasn't proved himself to be
United Harry Kane
guy. Even an Alexis Sanchez or something like that, if that helps you guys. Like, come on, we're talking about Jesus here, who's been there few months? How many games he played? He's had some good performances.
So you'd stick with Eddie.
What I'm saying, if he carries on this form, you've got to cultivate that, because if you drop him, then you're just cutting his legs out from under him. Like you want to keep him on that run. If he's banging in goals week in, week out, and you drop him, that's stupid. And then you bring in Jesus, who's coming back from injury, who's then got to get up to speed with the league, who weren't even scoring before. It's just, I don't know why you Arsenal fans are all crying. I'm not crying,
man. I'm quite happy. I'm top of the league, 5 points clear.
Why are you baffled? Why
Eddie and Jesus scoring goals?
I'm saying?
Because I don't think it is madness for me to expect Jesus to be coming back into the side when he's playing, because he brings so much.
How long has he got left anyway? How long is he out for now?
So the rumor was 4th of Feb, but apparently it's longer than that. I think he'll be March.
Lawless, this is all hypothetical. Eddie Nketiah could go on a barren run and not score a single goal from now until then.
Then he'd be justified in getting dropped. He would be justified.
We can't drop him at the moment because we ain't got anyone else.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying when Jesus.
No, I know what you're saying.
It's like, you weren't doing it, so this guy's come back. But I'm saying, like, if he scores week in, week out, and you drop him, you're just killing him. You're just killing him off there.
Well, we need some players at the moment, man. Let me tell you that.
Momentum is there. Like, if you're winning games and Nketiah's scoring goals, why do you need to change it?
Well, listen, I agree with Andrew here. Says Potts, if you don't sign players in January, your club is screwed. I don't know if we're screwed, but we're certainly screwed as far as a title challenge is concerned. I think we will definitely go back. Someone's saying it's 2-0, Dan. Can you check that, please? So for me, I think we need to go and get some players in, and we're going to see from there. Is it 2-0 or is he trolling?
I don't know if you're being trolled, mate. Let me just check Sky Sports. Hang on.
I don't think it is 2-0, by the way. I'm sure. Oh my God, it is. Oh my God, it is. Oh my God, it is 2-0 to Southampton. Oh my God! Wow, let's go and watch this. We need to go and watch. We need to go and watch this. We need to go and watch this. Let's get out of here, people, and let's go watch this. Listen, my thanks to Dan, my thanks to Lawless. Big up everybody in the chat. It's been like well over 350 of you watching live, which is great. And at the moment, we still got about 200 odd of you in here. Absolute legends. Do me a favor, smash a like on this. I want to get up to 7K as quickly as I can this year. Make sure you subscribe, like, and then go and do exactly the same to West Ham Fan TV and at Football One on Twitter, and support what Dan and Lawless are doing as well. We're going to be back tomorrow night with the Premier League fan debate, where all the other fans are coming on to have their say about transfers, rumours, and games. We're off to watch Southampton beat Man City. I really hope they do, by the way.
I'm watching the Wolves game because I'm doing some scouting. I got a preview.
You're doing some scouting.
Oh, my God.
Some scouting,
Is that how bad it's gone? Is Moyes now asking you, Lawless, Listen, I need you, big man. I need you. I need
Listen,
you to be
I've got a preview coming up. We're filming straight after the game, so I need to know what I'm saying. I need to be, and Moyes should be watching our previews because maybe he can, get some tips. Because when I put out my lineup, and I'm going to be putting out, this is the lineup that you need to play. Moyes needs to take that and go, all right, this is the blueprint. That's the lineup. That's what I want to see from Moyes. And Souček's name ain't going to be on that. Spoiler alert.
Lawrence, you never ever fail to amaze me, son. You never ever fail. Love it. Love it.
Look out for the preview.
Love it, boys. Make sure you do that, people. We'll see you next time. Take care. And as always, up the Arsenal. Latest, people.